Free agency is well underway, and the running back market moved absurdly quick. So let's talk running back winners and losers coming out of the first few days of free agency here. So let's just get into it. We'll start with the winners here. For me, clear-cut winner is Josh Jacobs, because not only does he maintain his workhorse status, right? That was always the question. When these guys hit free agency, are they able to garner a large second contract? Josh Jacobs does just that. And if they do, are they going to land in a situation that is either better than their previous situation or at least comparable? The Packers offense is just significantly better than the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't think anybody's going to question the upgrade of Jordan Love relative to Jimmy G, relative to Aiden O'Connell. So I think Jacobs comes out as a clear winner. Now, does that mean I am buying? Am I selling? If I'm contending, I'm probably going to hold Josh Jacobs. But I still don't view him as a long-term piece. Any running back on a second contract is dangerous. So if I have the opportunity to sell, right, and I'm not just a clear-cut, contending roster, I'm going to sell Josh Jacobs. The price should be a mid to late first. That is going to be the price always for these workhorse running backs. If you're giving them to a contender that is obviously looking to win a title, they should be paying a premium. So you may not get that, but that's the line if I'm selling Josh Jacobs. Next up, it's going to be Saquon Barkley. And Barkley, just like Josh Jacobs, keeps a workhorse role and also lands in a better offense. Like, I think this is very, very obviously a win for Saquon Barkley because he's going to be in the red zone significantly more. And as long as he does not fall down on the 1 yard line like 10 times, a la DeAndre Swift last year, Saquon Barkley should find double-digit touchdowns. And I think pretty easily. Yeah, he's, 27 years old, but they paid him big money. And you can probably, attribute that to the salary cap bump here. But Saquon Barkley got paid, and it felt very out of the blue for the Eagles, who usually are bargain bin hunters there. So I have a feeling they're going to obviously try to make good on that investment. Saquon Barkley is going to be a 300-plus touch player, health permitting, and ultimately be an RB1 at least for the next 2 years. That's my expectation, even at the age here. So when it comes to buying, selling, obviously you're not buying a running back that age if you're not contending. So I'm going to buy Saquon Barkley as a legit contender. For the price, it's very similar to Josh Jacobs. If I can give a late first for Saquon Barkley as a contender, I'm going to do that. However, if I can get back a mid-first, right, so think 110 and later or 108 to 106. If I can get that 108 to 106, I'm selling Saquon Barkley. This is your window. You might even be able to get more on top if a contender is truly desperate for one of those elite running backs. Sticking with the theme of elite running backs here, Derrick Henry comes out as a winner. He's going to be the workhorse, and he lands with the best running offense in the NFL. You're no longer dealing with Ryan Tannehill and Will Levis, who he still had immense success with, but you now have Lamar Jackson. You have an offense that is just geared to hammer teams, and that is what Derrick Henry does better than anybody. He's one of the best running backs in the NFL after contact. When you pair him with the Ravens, who since 2020 have been the best team in the NFL in yards before contact, I mean, Derrick Henry could go for 2,000 yards. I know that's lofty and insane to think at his age, but just the way this feels to be lining up, that is not out of the question. So Derrick Henry as a contender, I'm buying. I will just take the chance that it's maybe a 1 year thing, but if I can give a mid-second round pick, I'm going to do that. Anything later I think is a smash because people may just be looking to sell given the age, another contract. The wear and tear is going to get him. I'm just going to make the bet that it's not this year. So Derrick Henry is a buy as a contender because the dude's just going to run nutty. He's going to be another top 10 running back this year, health permitting. Getting to some of the smaller names here, I'm also going to throw in Chase Brown as a winner. And you may think, but they added Zach Moss. How does he really win? Well, Joe Mixon's gone. And Joe Mixon has been the clear-cut workhorse for, 5-6 years in Cincinnati. Chase Brown doesn't have to contend with that, at least, right? Maybe Zach Moss is as good as Joe Mixon is at this point in his career, but ultimately, I think Chase Brown earns a larger role, and that's what matters, right? We were saying go buy Chase Brown because not only is he an elite handcuff, there was a possibility Mixon did get cut, right? And Chase Brown had a chance to fight for the 1A job. That's exactly what's happened, right? For a guy that used to be going for a mid-third, a late third really more so, or even a fourth-round pick in some cases, you can now probably flip him for a second. And if I can get an early second for Chase Brown, I'm going to do it. Like, this is the reason you invest in low value handcuff running backs, because when they find opportunity, there's an immediate value bump. So you're looking at what should be a mid to early second for Chase Brown. And if you get that, I'm fine cashing out because, again, I don't think he finds his way into a workhorse role. Zach Moss is going to obviously take work here. I think you're realistically looking at like a 55-45 split. I don't know which one it's going to be. So if I can cash out for a high-end rookie, I'm going to take that trade. Next up, I'll just pair these two together because I think they're winners for the same reason. Gus Edwards, Devin Singletary. They both land in situations where they're going to get work, or at least for now, they're going to get work. That doesn't mean I'm holding them. I'm not going to sit here and hold my breath that Singletary or Gus Edwards make it to the start of the season as the true, unquestioned starters. So if I can get seconds, I'm moving on for them. But for now, through early free agency, they are clearly increasing their value. And in a similar breath here, Zamir White survives. Like that's, for now, he has survived at least. He's avoided all of these elite running backs, all of these high-level runners, and it's his backfield. The downside is it's Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell led offense with Devontae Adams for now. Jacoby Myers, I think, is probably going to stick around, but ultimately, it's probably not going to be a great offense. So Zamir White, yes, he'll get volume, and that matters. I just don't think it's going to be very exciting. Give me a second or like a second plus if you can get it, because someone's looking at it saying, wow, it's Zamir White's time to shine, and I don't really know that it is. Now over to the quote-unquote losers of free agency. The first one is the biggest one, I think. Tyjae Spears. And that hurts. It objectively hurts, right? Tony Pollard coming in was just not on my radar. I figured they would add somebody, maybe a Gus Edwards type, maybe somebody with a little bit less of an investment. Bringing in Tony Pollard is rough because, look, they invested in him. The expectation is it's going to be his job to lose. And I do think Tyjae Spears is talented enough. We did a whole, 5-minute segment on it the other day. I do think Tyjae Spears is talented enough to win this job. But I think best case, you're looking 55-45, 60-40. That's not the end of the world for Tyjae Spears, ultimately. He is an electric pass-catching back. I think he's a good, efficient runner as well. I'm buying. I am still buying Tyjae Spears off of the bad news here. If you find someone that just wants to cash out, right, they are terrified of Tony Pollard. One, I don't think they deserve Tyjae Spears. Two, you might be able to lowball for like a mid-second or a late second and a third. That's about the price point, I think. I'm personally willing to buy for an early second. I wouldn't recommend that. I don't think that's the best course of action. But again, I like to buy the guys that I like. Our next loser, quote unquote, here is actually a pair of running backs. It's Roschon Johnson. It's Khalil Herbert. And look, they're losers because DeAndre Swift gets paid to come to Chicago. He gets paid big money. And I think Khalil Herbert's probably the best runner of this bunch still. I don't think that's a hot take, really. But when you pay DeAndre Swift $8 million a year, roughly, he's going to get usage. Third down work and some early down work as well. I think realistically, Roschon gets hurt worse here because that third down pass catching role was his. It looked like that's where he was headed. He's a great pass blocker. Looked good catching the ball as a rookie. But DeAndre Swift is a better pass catcher. I don't think there's any question about that. Maybe somebody's just holding out hope that the Bears cut Khalil Herbert or move on, and you can get a second for Roschon. If you can, that's a no-brainer. But I'm gonna hold Khalil Herbert. I don't know what you're gonna get for him. Nothing of value, at least. If anything, Khalil Herbert just becomes an elite handcuff if DeAndre Swift goes down. And the same goes for Roschon Johnson, potentially. So that's where the value is with them. But the chances of them becoming high-end RB2s, either one of them, is completely toasted. Next, we have Brian Robinson. And Brian Robinson loses in a way because, yes, he maintains early down work. That's not going to be Austin Eckler's job. But the pass catching upside is going to be dashed just a little bit, right? Pulls in 43 targets last year. Antonio Gibson pulls in 59. But the thing is, Austin Eckler's a better pass catcher than both of them. Even at this point in his career, even at his age, Austin Eckler is getting signed to catch passes out of the backfield. Brian Robinson may end up with 20 to 30 targets, which just hurts that ceiling further in what's going to probably be a bad offense on a team that's going nowhere, that will be trailing a ton. So it's just, you look at it and it's just not a great situation in this upcoming season for Brian Robinson. And ultimately, again, you guys know I'm not crazy about Brian Robinson in general. The thing is, on the back of this news, what can you really sell him for? And by that, I mean, like, he was probably going for an early second before this. I don't know if selling him for a mid to late second is worth it either. I think his production that he gives you, at least, with that 7 to 8 point floor, is probably going to be more valuable. And then, should anything happen to Austin Ekeler, Brian Robinson has a massive role ahead of him. So I'm just going to hold. If you have him anywhere, I'm holding. I'm not selling unless I can get an early second. But I think that ship has probably sailed for now.